the first respondent, Qantas Airways Limited, pay a pecuniary penalty in the amount of $90 million. Part of the penalty, being the sum of $50 million, be paid by Qantas Airways Limited to the applicant, the Transport Workers Union of Australia.
Qantas has been fined a record $90 million after it illegally sacked 1,800 baggage handlers during the COVID pandemic. This is one of the biggest fines ever handed out to a company that breached industrial relations laws. At this stage, $50 million is set to be paid to the Transport Workers Union, and the remaining $40 million is likely to be paid to the workers affected. The fine is on top of $120 million Qantas has already agreed to pay the workers in compensation.
I do think persons of responsibility within Qantas do now have some genuine regrets, but this more likely reflects the damage this case has done to the company rather than A, remorse for the damage done to the affected workers, or B, concern it engaged in contravening conduct.
In his judgment, Federal Court Judge Michael Lee was critical of the remorse Qantas has shown during this case and questioned why the company calls itself the Spirit of Australia. I think it's important to note that this fine comes after the company already agreed to pay $100 million in connection with the so-called ghost flights claim that the competition cop brought against Qantas, in which they sold tickets to flights that had already been cancelled between 2022 and 24. As well, the company had already been in trouble for illegally standing down a health and safety officer during the pandemic. It's off the back of these controversies that the company's former CEO, Alan Joyce, resigned months earlier than he intended to in 2023. Ever since then, the company has worked really hard to distance itself from that period, and it installed a new CEO in Vanessa Hudson. She is supposed to be the new face of the company and represents a new culture. But Justice Lee disputes that because Vanessa Hudson was the company's chief financial officer when the baggage handlers were sacked in 2020. In his judgment, he asked why Hudson failed to give evidence during the case, and he said she was clearly in a position to explain why she thought things went wrong and what she has done personally to ensure this conduct does not happen again. Justice Lee was highly critical of Vanessa Hudson's public statements, including public apologies that she has made to the baggage handlers following the announcement of compensation that was going to be made to them, but she failed to appear in court, and as a result, her claims and her apologies were not truly tested.